I want to get to our first story tonight, which is really, Nordstream. And I love Craig Murray. Craig Murray's calling out the U.S. and the Five Eyes and NATO about the leaks that they claim for Nordstream. They said that it wasn't us, it wasn't the Russians, it was 6 Ukrainians in some kind of boat, right? Well, Craig Murray...
Thibodeau and Boudreaux.
Right. So this was like the day that it happened, and Craig Murray was immediately jumping all over it. Guardian, WAPO, Der Spiegel today published bombshell revelations about Russian cyber warfare based on leaked documents, but have produced only one single rather innocuous leaked document between them in the WAPO with 0 links to any. Which, where are these documents and what do they actually say? Der Spiegel says, this is all chronicled in 1,000 secret documents that included over 5,000 pages of project plans, right? Instructions and internals from Vulkan from 2016 through 2021. What's Project Vulkan? Despite being all in Russian and extremely technical in nature. But 5,000 pages? Where are they? 10 different media houses have cooperated on the leaks, and the articles have been produced by large teams of journalists in each individual publication. But here's what we're going to find out. We know what a hack Luke Harding is. Going back to the WikiLeaks stuff, that he and David Lee are the two that have screwed up the whole Julian Assange stuff with regard to The Guardian. The Guardian article written, it's terrible. All right, WAPO articles written by all these people, 22 journalists. That's 30 named journalists, each with a publication deploying large team. And yet, if you read through these 3 articles, you cannot help that they are remarkably similar. All right.
Of course they are. And
he quotes each one. Effectively, you could, you can, what do you call it? Somebody's coughing up phlegm. It sounds like somebody's coughing up phlegm. I don't know who. Hopefully nobody here.
That's not me.
Der Spiegel.
Oh, Der Spiegel. Yes, That's right. So, documents suggest Russia sees attacks in civilian critical infrastructure and social media manipulation is one of the same mission, right? So, and you have the same thing, sees attacks on civilian critical infrastructure. That was in Washington Post as one in the same mission. Interesting, said John Hultquist. They're all quoting this guy, John Hultquist from Mandiant. All right, they're all basically using the same. Note that it is not just the central Hultquist quote, which is the same. In each case, the teams of 30 journalists have very slightly altered a copy-pasted entire paragraph. Welcome to corporate media, folks. Okay, where you have to get in line and you have to print the approved narrative. All right. In fact, the remarkable sameness of all 3 articles with same quotes and sources of all same articles may explain to anybody reading that all these 3 articles are taken from a single source document. Question is, who produced the central document? And I assume it is one of the 5 security services, which all the articles say were consulted. Right? It's unbelievable. And people are not going to make the connection because nobody reads. How many people read Der Spiegel, the Washington Post, and the New York Times to put this all together, to see that they're putting this propaganda narrative across the globe? All right. And the London
whoever has
paper
to.
too. Well, Craig Murray did. And thank goodness he did, because he's calling this out. All 3 articles include the comprehensively debunked claim that Russia hacked the Clinton or DNC emails. They all include it, despite the fact that none of the 3 articles makes the slightest attempt to connect this allegation to any of the leaked Vulkan documents or to provide any evidence for it at all. Right? That's pretty good, Craig. Casual readers led to the conclusion, right? What's that?
Mm-hmm.
What about the Romulan documents? We have the Vulcan documents, but not the Romulan documents.
Actually,
it's a fake.
Okay. It's actually the Ferengi documents, because it's definitely the greed and the capitalistic document, and that's serving this. But the casual readers led to the conclusion that in some way the Vulcan leak proves the Clinton hack, despite the fact that no evidence is deduced. And in fact, on close reading, none of the articles makes any claim there's any reference at all to the Clinton hack in the Vulcan documents, or any kind of evidence in them supporting the claim. What is this Vulkan stuff? All 3 teams of journalists independently decided to throw in the debunked claim unrelated to any of the leaked material that they're supposedly discussing is not very probable. It's being planted by CIA or by Bellingcat or by somebody. By who? Right?
Wow.
So WAPO doesn't actually deign to give us a facsimile of one page of one of the leaked emails, which does indeed appear to reference cyber warfare capabilities to control or disable vital infrastructure. But the problem is that they're showing us page 4 of a document devoid of context. Why no link to the whole document? We can see that it's about research into these capabilities, but presumably the whole document might reveal something about the purpose of such research, or, for example, is it offensive or to develop such defense against such offense? But here, more importantly, how do we actually know that it was Russian at page 4? Like, can they just print something out off of Word and do some stuff, authenticate it, and it looks like it's page 4 of a document in Russian? I mean, I got questions.
I mean, now they flip a coin now, and if it's heads, it's Chinese, and if it's tails, it's Russian.
Right?
Like that's our surveillance state.
Okay, well now here's the thing. We got to get serious here in regards towards just how this will backfire not only on our leading officials, but towards the American people as well. Look, what we're seeing here is mass paranoia by the establishment. And not only are they being paranoid, but they're also fueling paranoia amongst the American people. You know, I know that we have said, and we've all done these reports, it's not related to the story, but how more Americans are identifying as independent and how many Americans are not trusting the institutions. But going forward from that, how many people are actually taking the initiative to educate themselves or care to really know about what is happening? Because some people just might turn off, but then when they see stuff like this, when they see this kind of madness and hysteria, it leads to the establishment once again regaining control over a narrative, over what's being presented to the American people, over the media. And this should frighten us a little bit, not like frighten us to we're in fear, but to more of, oh my goodness, how many people are going to think Russia and China are our new Saturday morning cartoon villains? I mean, look, Xi Jinping and Putin, they are definitely not saints. They aren't. But we are constantly antagonizing and provoking these other powers that will one day, look, all nations have a beginning and an end. Everything has a beginning and an end. That's what my deceased grandfather said. He passed away in February. He always would tell me, Kit, everything that has a beginning does and will have an end. And the way the United States has been acting and presenting itself to the world, these policies that our government officials are doing will have irreversible damage towards the American people, because when this thing all does fall apart, and it looks like to me we are on that precipice of a full-on collapse, so many people are going to be left wondering, how did this happen? And we have this all documented before us, but how many people are being informed about it? It's same thing like the fall of any other empire. We can all sit around and say, how did this happen? This happened gradually. This happened with the consent of the people, but it also happened when there were no checks on those who had absolute power and no responsibility for the positions of power that they're in.
Well, and that's what Craig's talking about. So Craig's talking about that, how he's always suspicious of leaks where the actual documents are kept hidden, and we know only by what we're told by, in this case, a propaganda operation, which even on the surface of it involves Western security services, government-funded cybersecurity firms, and Microsoft and Google. When WikiLeaks releases documents, they actually release the whole documents, so you can look at them and make up your mind on what they really say or mean. For example, such as the Vault 7 release on CIA hacking tools. My favorite Vault 7 revelation was that the CIA hackers leave behind fake fingerprints, including commands in Cyrillic script to create a false trail that the Russians did it. As you can see, you can actually see the actual documents on WikiLeaks. I have no reason to doubt that Russia employs techniques on cyber warfare, but I do have absolutely no reason to believe that Russia does so any more than Western security services. In fact, there is some indication that this Vulkan information, that Russian cyber warfare capability, is less advanced than Western. So with absolutely zero self-awareness of the implications of what they're saying, Luke Harding and his team at Guardian tell us that one document shows engineers recommending Russia add to its own capabilities by using hacking tools stolen from 2016 from the U.S. National Security Agency and posted online.
NSA,
Wait a minute. It is, of course, only bad when the Russians do it, right? But the fact
Right.
is,
Right.
virtually no cross-referencing to the Snowden or Vault 7 leaks in any of the publications shows this up for the coordinated security service propaganda exercise that it is. But there are numerous examples, like he says, of various hacks alleged to be committed by Russian security services with no links whatsoever to any document in the Vulkan leaks, and in fact, evidence given to any kind except for multiple references to allegations by U.S. authorities. The WAPO articles has the best claim to maintain that some kind of reasonable journalistic standard, but really not really, because it includes these important phrases and missions notably absent from the Harding piece, right? That quote, these officials and experts could not find definitive evidence that the systems had been deployed by Russia or had been used in specific cyber attacks. Yeah, that's kind of important to include. Or that the documents do not, however, include verified target lists, malicious software code, or evidence linking the projects to known cyber attacks. This was all speculation in a plan. Another one. I mean, 3 quotes alone.
Another one.
They offer insights into the aims of a Russian state that, like other major powers, including the U.S., is eager to grow and systematize its ability to conduct cyber attacks with greater speed, scale, and efficiency. So they're doing exactly what we're doing, and we're mad about it. 17 agencies, damn it. That's right, Fred Edward. Shout out Fred Edward. He's a good dude. Last quote is, of course, the key point. WAPO deserves some kudos for at least acknowledging it, which is more than you could say for Guardian or Der Spiegel. So again, you've got DC, London, and Munich, in Germany, the 3 major newspapers of record. Even WAPO in no way allows it to affect the tone or tenor of its report. But in truth, there's no reason to doubt that the Russian state is developing cyber warfare capabilities, and there's no reason to doubt that commercial companies, including Vulkan, are involved in some of the subcontracted work. Vulkan is a private corporation, right? But exactly the same thing is true of the US, UK, any major Western nation. Tens of billions are being poured into cyber warfare, as we know, and 100 billion into Ukraine this year. And the vast resources deployed on it by NATO states vastly outnumber resources available to Russia. So this is where we get into who puts out anti-Russian propaganda. Yes, it is a large exercise there. And here are some key facts. Taking the Guardian, WAPO, and Der Spiegel articles together, less than 2% of the articles consist of direct quotes from the alleged leaked documents. So it's all just speculation and crap and fluff. Less than 10% of the articles consist of the alleged description of the contents of the documents. So again, it's just smear pieces and talking about background and history and stuff that didn't necessarily have anything to do with it. Over 15% of the articles consist of comment by Western security services and cyber warfare industry, which is literally more than the combined amount of the direct quotes and alleged description of contents. And then over 40% of the articles consist of descriptions of alleged Russian hacking activities, 0 of which is referenced in the actual Vulkan leaks. We get to see one page of an alleged 5,000 leaks plus a couple of maps and graphics. And it took 30 mainstream journalists to produce this gross propaganda. I could have done it alone for them in a night.
Dude, a Nigerian prince gets better numbers. Right? I don't know if they're like...
Right. Working up 3 slightly different articles from what the security services have fed them, directly and indirectly. And ChatGPT could have done it in about 8 seconds. Right, he says,
yeah. let's not even talk about ChatGPT, because that technology, I mean, I'm impressed with it, but it's frightening at the same time. Yeah. I've never seen anything that can.
We just have yet to ask it how Kit really feels.
Yeah.
So, you know, like it's gonna be a very bad day after that. That's gonna start the singularity. You know?
Yeah. Then Craig makes a plea. If you can go to craigmurray.org, you can hook him up with a donation or a subscription or anything you can do to help him out. He's got all different ways to help him. Unlike the 77th Brigade, the Integrity Initiative, Bellingcat, the Atlantic Council, all these NGOs and semi-state funded organizations, we actually are independent and rely on donations and on user funding. So that's why. Shout out to Craig Murray, support independent media. There's our merch. If you do want to get some indie merch, it's independentleft.shop, or you can go to INN merch independentleft.com. That works too. And then we're going to go
Shut up
to
and take my money.